So what I'm going to talk about today is some reasons to not be fearful, and because this is going to go on YouTube, we'll have to express this in terms of a thought experiment. So, for the sake of the YouTube censor, I'm not describing anything that's happened in the past. This is all forward-looking. It's all hypothetical situations. So let's start off with a presumption, right? Let's suppose that in the future there was a group of people that were pursuing an anti-human agenda. Maybe they blamed humanity for causing climate change. Let's say, for example, that was going to destroy the Earth. And as a result of that, they wanted to either reduce the number of people on the planet, or reduce the amount consumed per person living, because either way that would reduce the rate at which resources were being consumed, finite non-renewable resources. Let's say this is all a hypothetical, remember, yeah. So how could you get a depopulation? How could you do it? Well, the thing is that these kind of satanic forces, they believe in natural law. So if they were to just go off and kill people without the people being killed consenting to it, the karmic comeback would fall on them. So what they would have to do is get people to agree to their own demise. Now, you could argue maybe you could start some sort of a war and get people to volunteer for that war, and then you would be when they get killed in a war, you wouldn't be responsible because they consented to be conscripted, they volunteered to fight and die, whatever. Anyway, these days I think that's actually, or in the future, that would be quite hard to pull off, because there was so many wars in the 20th century, and levels of trust, at some point in the future might be very, very low, not high enough for that to be possible. So, some people say, well, maybe you could have like a bioweapon, right? So you could, like some those tiny little things that you can't see that are deadly, that begin with V and sound like Wirus, spelt with a W. Now, the thing with that is, do these bioweapons actually exist? Would it actually be possible to produce one of these bioweapons? We don't know, do we? But what you would say is, if you were, a Satanist that hated humanity, you wanted to kill a load of people, it would actually be quite risky to do it via a bioweapon. Why is that? Just stop the video and have a think about it. If you don't know, why would it be quite dangerous, if you were a Satanist, to try to kill humanity through a bioweapon? For me, the answer is just laughably simple. And the answer is, you might die from it too. If you create a bioweapon that was really deadly, then you would be at risk, same as the other people. I know there'll be some like normies who go, oh well, they might have a Britney Spears concert ticket that might protect them. But even that would be very, very risky, because you wouldn't know whether the Britney Spears concert ticket would provide you with the protection against this super deadly bioweapon. So for me, straight away, that knocks out any kind of just logic. Human action is purposeful behavior. If you wanted to kill humanity, you wouldn't do it through a bioweapon, because the problem with the bioweapon is that you're gonna be at risk from dying from that same bioweapon that you want to use to kill the rest of humanity. So how could you do it? Well, again, just using a thought experiment here, you could try to persuade people to consent to drinking some poison, or having some poison inserted, using that word carefully, inserted into their own bodies. So how could you do that? Well, maybe you could come up with some sort of health scare, couldn't you? A phantom health scare. And what you need to do is, people could be tricked into consenting to drink this sheep dip that's being advertised as protection against this non-existent bioweapon. So the main advantage of this method as a way of culling population, if you're a genocidal maniac, is that so long as you don't drink the sheep dip, then you don't need to worry, do you? You're not going to die, but you can persuade other people to die if you can persuade them to drink the poison. And obviously, you're not going to drink the same poison as you might pretend that you've drank the poison. You might drink some salt water. It might be a clear liquid, or have some salt water put into your body. Click, 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 cameras, cameras, cameras. Or they pretend to put something into your body and you don't even bother to do that. And that's all you would need to do to evade the cull that you want to impose on the rest of society, assuming that you were a genocidal maniac who believed that the world was overpopulated. So now we come on to another fear phenomenon. There's lots of people that go on about this shedding, which is again, let's talk about this in hypothetical terms. Imagine that there was some sort of contagious bioweapon. The idea, and you persuaded people to go and have a Britney Spears. Well, the idea of shedding is that the Britney Spears itself might create an illness in people who haven't been to the Britney Spears concert. So again, for me, the whole just using game theory and logic, if you were a genocidal maniac, why would you want to expose yourself to the risk of catching something unpleasant due to this phenomenon called shedding? So even if there was this kind of bioweapon, even if there was the Maxine that went with it, you wouldn't design the Maxine so it created a shedding effect, so that those that evaded the Maxine would also be at risk of dying because of the shedding effect. Remember what we're talking about here, it's all hypotheticals, yeah? So for me, I rule out the shedding phenomenon completely, just from simple game theory, in that if you were a bioterrorist, if you were a Satanist, if you hated humanity and you wanted to kill humanity, you wouldn't want to kill yourself, would you, at the same time? Because that would sort of defeat the point. What you want to do is to try to convince as many of the people that you want to get rid of to take the poison, and you wouldn't want that poison to have any leaky effects and damage the health of people like you, the Satanists, who haven't drank the Kool-Aid. So in conclusion then, for me personally, the idea that there are bioweapons, let's be more accurate here. Let's say the idea that there are something like Divock 91, like some contagious thing, bioweapon that's contagious, like as described in Divock 91. Don't buy that at all. Why not? Well, basically, if you were the genocidal maniac, you wouldn't design a bioweapon that was also going to threaten you. As I say before, even if you had the quaxine, it might not protect you. You don't know for sure. Okay, and then the second thing is the Maxine. Could it have shedding effects and harm people who didn't have the Maxine? Again, simple logic would say, if you were a genocidal maniac, that's a thing that you would want to avoid when you were designing the sheep dip, because obviously you're not going to go and have the Maxine, you're not going to drink the sheep dip, and you don't want to die due to one of the sheeple shedding some toxicity or whatever, David Icke protein onto you. So wow, there's been a lot of code on there. Let's hope this doesn't get censored. But remember, YouTube, this is just entirely a hypothetical situation about the future. Yeah, so don't worry about deadly viruses or bioweapons or whatever. The only thing you need to worry about is not going to any Britney Spears and the Boosters concerts, because actually that is the bioweapon. Yeah, and you don't need to worry about shedding, because shedding would affect the powers that shouldn't be, and that's the whole point of this thing. They want to depopulate us, not them. They want to survive this mass cull of humanity. So they're hardly going to create a Britney Spears and the Boosters that's going to create a shedding effect to those that didn't go to the Britney Spears and the Boosters concerts. So that's all I want to say today. So God bless.